This is VFL Weekly Wrap, Round 10 Preview. There's a game tomorrow, Friday afternoon at 12 p.m. at Brighton Homes Arena between Brisbane and Essendon. Brisbane travelling nicely despite their loss last week. They're 5-2. Essendon losing their last game. They're 3-4. Well, Essendon need to win this game, but it's going to be pretty tough for them to win up there in Brisbane. I don't think they've got a chance, to be honest. Brisbane should win that game. Now, there are a plethora of matches on Saturday. Now, the first one is at 9:30 in the morning. I just can't understand these start times, to be honest. Gold Coast against Coburg at Carrara. Now, the Suns are struggling. They're 2-4 and a draw. They drew last week. Coburg, they're 4 wins, 4 losses. They've won 4 of their last 5. This is going to be an interesting match. The Suns are so good at home, but they haven't been travelling well. They've got a few injuries. Coburg, well, they can't play any better than what they're doing right now. They are absolutely flying. This is a very hard game to pick. Coburg don't travel well. Early in the morning, it could be inconvenience for the Burgers. That's probably why I tipped the Suns. With that very early start interstate, it's going to be tough for Coburg to win this. Now, game at 11:35 a.m. This match is at Preston City Oval between Northern Bull Ants and Southport Sharks. Bull Ants haven't won a game. They're 0-8. Southport 6-1 and a draw. I'll be going to this game. I'll tell you what, this could be a 100-point belting here. I just can't see how the Bull Ants kick. Well, they'll struggle to kick 50 points in this game. But if they receive a 10-goal loss, I think that'll be a win for them. Southport have got winners everywhere on the ground. They should absolutely destroy the Bull Ants. Now, there's a game at 12:30 p.m. GWS against Richmond. That's at NG Stadium up in Sydney. GWS are 6-2. Richmond 5-3. GWS won their first 6. They've lost their last 2. Richmond doing okay. Now the problem is they lost one of their young players in a draft yesterday. So that'll weaken them. I expect GWS to bounce back and get a win here. Now, game 1:30 p.m. Sydney against Casey. That's at Tramway Oval in Sydney. This could be a close game. Like, Sydney aren't travelling all that well. They're 1-7. They've had a miserable year. And they've lost their last 5. They were terrible last week. Casey, 3 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw. They've been very competitive. If Casey want to play finals, this is a game that they have to win. They should win this game. Don't be surprised if Sydney run them very close, especially at Tramway Oval. Probably the match of the round, this one, 2:05 p.m. Box Hill up against Collingwood at Box Hill City Oval. Box Hill, top of the ladder, they're 7-1. Collingwood travelling nicely, 5-3. Jeez, they've got winners everywhere, Box Hill. None of their players got picked up in the AFL mid-season draft, so they haven't lost anything. Whereas Collingwood, they're playing well. They got belted last week at home to North Melbourne. But I don't think Collingwood's going to have 2 bad games in a row. You know what? I'm going to go for an upset. I think the Pies get them. I think they've got the ability to win this game. And I think Box Hill, although they're travelling nicely, I don't think they've been very, very convincing. They're just winning in workmanlike performances. I think I think they're due for a downer, but that will be a cracking game. Now the Saturday night game, the TV game at 7:10 p.m. at Frankston Oval. Frankston at home against Sandringham. Frankston are 4-3. Sandringham 1-6 and a draw. They got that draw last week somehow. But this fixture last season, Sandringham knocked off Frankston by a point. I watched it on the live stream. It was remarkable. You expect Frankston to win this game, but I would not be surprised if Sandy get him again. Sandy, 1 win, 1 draw. Their 1 win was at Whitten Oval against Bulldogs. I watched that game live. And the draw they had last week against Gold Coast, I also watched that live at Moorabbin. That should be an interesting game. Now, there's 2 games on Sunday, both of them at 2:05 p.m. Williamstown against Geelong at Point Gellibrand. Williamstown, 4-4. They've won their last 3 games. Geelong, 3-5. They've lost their last 5. Could be one of those windy, overcast days that favour Willie, but that might play into Geelong's hands. On a clear day, you expect Willie to belt them. I think Willie will still win this game. Seagulls should win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Geelong make it close. They'll be desperate for a win, Geelong. They don't play over there that often. But Williamstown basically got all their players back now, so they should be winning this game. Now, the last game around, I'll be going to this one, North Port Oval, Port Melbourne against Werribee. This is going to be an absolute crackerjack game. A lot's happened in the last 24 hours. Werribee have lost 2 players in the AFL draft now. Zach Banch has gone to North Melbourne and Flynn Young's gone to Carlton. So they've lost 2 of their small forwards. That's going to hurt Werribee. Once again, Werribee just getting raped by the AFL, losing players. Since they made the grand final in 2023, they've had 7 players that are on AFL lists now, not to mention some other retirees and all that, and players that have moved on. They've lost a lot of players. I was going to tip Werribee in this game, but with those 2 outs now, I'm tipping Port Melbourne. They're in form. Werribee haven't been convincing. They just cannot cover those players. They just can't keep... You can't expect them to just keep rolling on. You lose too many players, that's what happens. And they get nothing for it too. Disappointing. Now, Port Melbourne are 3-4 in a draw. They were Norton 4, and they've won 3, drew 1 since then. They're in very good form. Werribee, 4-4. They've won 3 of the last 4 games. I think Port Melbourne should win that game, but that's going to be a very good crowd there at North Port Oval. Looking forward to it. Footscray, North Melbourne, Carlton have the bye. That's my tips for the week. See you next time.